Put in your AirPods, lace up your boots, and grab your smelling salts, because you are now listening to the Dry Powder Pod.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the show. Today I'm going to be playing the character of a shock jock radio host. You are now listening to the Dry Powder Pod on 97.2, the musket. I don't think I could keep that voice up the entire time. Hello everybody.
Yeah, what's his backstory? What's at least his name?
Backstory.
What's the shock jock?
What's his
How do we refer to him? What's his Christian name?
Richard Shockington Jr. Richard Shockington Jr. Is this character. I'm working on workshopping. I mean, obviously we talk about the Revs, but this is more of like a podcast for developing different personas and acting. And it's all about the art of podcasting and acting. They're kind of the same thing, really. We are actors.
It's never about memorizing the lines. It's understanding what the hell you're saying.
And journalists and influencers. And really, I mean, podcasting can change the world, folks. So I think that's the number one takeaway for a project like this is it's just, the power of podcasting, POP. That's why they call them pop filters.
Pop. Is there like a podcasting Oscars? There's got to be, right?
The Webbies.
The Webbies? Is that for podcasting?
I wrote in my little journal that by this time next year, we're going to be Webby holders.
Oh my God. I got to start working on my acceptance speech.
That's called Manifestation Holmes.
Can't wait.
I'd never heard of that.
Can't wait to wear my tracksuit to the...
Oh, we got matching tracksuits for the awards.
Oh, yeah. We're going to custom Dry Powder Pod tracksuits. We will be wearing them when we get that award in a year from now. So writing it down. We'll come back. What episode will be on by then? It'll be in the 50s.
69.
Nice.
Nice, dude.
And we'll be winning all the awards, whatever awards they have there.
I'm excited.
I'm here with my two lovely co-hosts, which I realize I feel like I should be introducing you guys every time instead of just like talking a bunch at the beginning. So I'm here with
It's all about the
Abe.
Revs for us. It's like our egos are sublimated to the ultimate goal, to the cause.
Yeah, I am nothing without the Revs.
I'm nothing.
I cease to exist, yeah.
I'm simply an empty vessel without the New England Revolution MLS soccer team.
And I'm also here with the Chad, the one and only the Chad. So Chad, Abe, Tyler here to tackle the issues, and we did not have a game.
Issues of the day.
Yeah, the important issues. It's going to be an issues-based pod, as considering the Revs did not play over the weekend, and it was actually a pretty good weekend for MLS action. But we kind of thought for today, because we got unexpectedly, as we mentioned in the last episode, this time we have not only one sack full of mail, but multiple sacks filled with printed emails for all the mailbag submissions we've been getting. So
my apartment is. I don't have any space. I can't even get around. My dog can't get out of his crate. We're kind of trapped.
Yeah.
It is a tinderbox as well. It's very, very dangerous.
Look, you got to print out the emails or else there's no guarantee that you're going to have them forever and cherish them forever,
Yeah. And that's what I do for the fans.
Yeah, I still print out directions too, so they got lost in there.
Yeah.
Too. I don't use
are you a MapQuest guy? Yeah.
I don't want Google.
You would be a MapQuest guy. Chad was the guy who Apple Maps sent him into the middle of the Australian outback. He was like trying to go to Outback Steakhouse. It's like the first week of Apple Maps. They're like, "Oh, don't know what that is, mate."
I have no idea what that is, mate.
He drove from New England to Australia.
I don't know how he did it.
It took me about 400 hours.
Yeah, which is like and at no point in that trip did you think something was going wrong. Okay, I mean it's a little bit on the user.
The power of the bloomin' onion is too strong.
This bloomified menu starts at $13.99, and it's gonna blow your bloomin' mind.
Chad is he's known for sort of just rolling with the punches, kind of going wherever the MapQuest takes him, so to speak. So
if it says it on the instructions, it must be right. You print them out
right here. I'm supposed to drive onto this ferry and go across the ocean. Okay, all right.
If you say so.
I'm not completely filled with tightly wound anxiety all the time. I just go right with the punches.
Yeah, you just go with it. And that's what I admire about you.
That's what we love about our resident Chad. So for this episode, because we actually did get a lot of mail, we joke around a lot.
I'm joking.
But we seriously actually got more mail than we expected. So we're like, all right, no episode. We can kind of do like a review of some of the things that happened over the weekend, some of the games that stuck out
take
to
us
us.
around-
Like
take us
ones that
around
were
the
entertaining.
league.
A little journey around the league with the lads, and then also briefly we can touch on. I mean, I know the U.S. is playing right now. We are not watching, or maybe. Abe, are you watching? You
I got one eye on it.
One eye on it.
Our dear listeners can't see, but I have kind of like one of my eyes like splayed to the side so I can watch the TV as and my other eye is
Staring into both of your souls.
Yeah, so we'll have, obviously by the time this comes out, that'll be in the past. But we're big USMNT fans, obviously. But I don't know, third place game against Canada. After that last game, we're like, we'll just record during the game. We're not super excited about it, but we'll see. I'll watch the highlights afterwards or the 20-minute wrap up. But we'll talk a little bit about what happened over the weekend. Just some quick reactions on the USMNT as well, very briefly, and then we'll go right into the mailbag. We actually got a lot of mail. Like, I think it's actually in the double digits, which is crazy.
got some hot topics to discuss.
So many hot topics. We are going to get to the bottom of all these incredible questions. Seriously, there were some really cool submissions. Obviously we have a good mix of like haha silly submissions, which are great, amazing. We love those. Please send those in. But also some like actually thoughtful questions. That was really nice and unexpected. So the fact that people are listening and wanted to hear our thoughts is really cool and appreciated. So on that note,
Without further ado,
thought we would hop right into the MLS weekend wrap up and kind of go over some of. Oh yeah, he's back.
Mr. Shockington.
Mr. Shockington. Sort of just do a little jump around the league, hear from you guys. I want to hear which games you liked, which one stood out to you, any fun moments. I can start, and then I'll hand over the mic to you guys.
Please.
So yeah, I really loved. I watched a lot of games, and despite it being the like kind of international break, even though MLS still plays during it, which is a whole could talk about that, but. It's a whole nother topic. They probably shouldn't do it, but they did play during this international break, which meant a lot of the stars of a lot of the big teams were missing because they were off on international duty. However, I watched quite a few games, like 3 or 4, kind of multi-screening with March Madness going on at the same time, just sort of like extreme sports stimulation, multi-screen kind of Minority Report setup. And I got to say, I think my favorite game of the weekend was Charlotte versus San Jose. Was a total blowout in the end. Charlotte just ran riot during that game, and it was a fun watch, honestly. Like, there was just lots of good fun attacking soccer. Like, yeah, San Jose kind of shit the bed defensively, but they had some good attacks too. Like, the XG they probably each had more XG between for each individual team than like the Revs have on the entire season. I think that's got to be true because we're under 2 XG on the season. Tim Ream's gone on international duty. They have this new left back in whose name has escaped me, and I thought he was pretty good. What's really cool is he clearly gives Zaha like a little bit of freedom to like he can do overlapping runs and like take off a little bit of the pressure from Zaha because Ream just was never going to do that.
No, I mean Ream's a 42-year-old man, something like that. Which
like
Ream's
55, I think.
The fact that he's a center back playing left back and playing that well at that age is really impressive. But he's not offering that same going forward, right?
They've been great, Charlotte. Like, they've been really impressed me. I think they're one of the better defensive teams in the entire league. And that partially, getting Ream has really helped with that. But I think we're going to see some crazy stuff from Zaha. If the attack can click like it did in this game, Charlotte, I could see them being top 3 in the East, man. I was really impressed by Charlotte. And San Jose, they were still good, honestly. They were just defensively kind of sucked. Like, Romney, unfortunately, our boy Romney, did have a really bad error that led to a goal. Aww. And yeah, it is weird watching the San Jose Revolution. Yeah, but San Jose is crazy because it is like 4 of our starters from last year are starting for them this year. You have Parks and Kay in the midfield.
It's the Bruce brain drain. He wants to take all of the players that he liked from the Revs, and he's successfully doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, it is just so weird seeing like the Bruce in a new environment, but it's a lot of the same players, and some of them I'm like, I don't like. Mark Anthony Kay got taken off at halftime.
Yeah,
he's still Mark Anthony Kay.
Never really impressed us.
Harks is still good. I miss Harks, but Kay is. Harks. I was like, oh yeah, that's about right. And you guys will probably agree with me on this. It's always funny when you have a weekend where the Revs are off, and you're like, I'll check out some other teams. And at least in recent years, whenever that happens, you're like, oh my gosh, these other teams are fun to watch. They're fun.
They play entertaining soccer. It's the beautiful game. This is what we're missing. Where's my beautiful game?
They're like making chances. They're shooting. This is nuts, dude. They're in the box.
I don't know about you guys. I prefer my games to feel like I'm filling out an Excel spreadsheet. So
yeah, no, it's great. It's great.
Yeah, dude,
I love the toilet bowl of doom
yeah.
where you just pass it around from either wing to the center and then to the other wing and just sort of infinitely. It's great.
What's at the end of that toilet bowl?
A whole lot of shit, Chad.
A whole lot of shit, Chad.
Hey-o.
A whole lot of shit. All right. So anyway, did you guys have a game that like you? I don't know how much you guys watched of just like other MLS teams. I know you guys watched a bit. We were chatting a bit in the group chat, but
yeah, I was really excited to come home and watch the Chicago game. I fell asleep 20 minutes in, so that was great.
That was a great game, though. Yeah.
It was great.
Can't have been that good.
I turned it back on this morning. I really love the storyline of Berhalter versus Berhalter.
Just as the bout began, Dad quickly became the aggressor and consistently landed brutal jabs and punches to the boy's face. The fight was looking one-sided, and at a mere 20 seconds in, Dad threw some vicious left hooks, stopping the fight.
Dad owning son like that, that's great. That was super exciting. The game we actually finished, I actually really enjoyed that too. Austin versus
oh yeah, the Sunday game.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah,
that one just
was
finished right before we recorded, and I wasn't expecting that one to be like anything particularly special. But San Diego, man, every time I've tuned into San Diego, they play interesting. Like, they're definitely not perfect. They're definitely working out some things because they're an expansion team. But man, like they had to have been like 75% possession in that game. It was crazy. Like, Austin was like, we're just gonna counter at home only, which I don't know if that's like their plan for the season, but it was that was all they had.
They went down 2-0 pretty early on a mistake on a free kick, but they came back and they were sharp the whole time. A lot of like quick passing through the middle too, I should say, not just up the sides, and a lot of chances. Can I sponsor a dunce of the week real quick?
Yes.
Yeah, who's your dunce of the week?
You have a dunce of the week?
My dunce of the week is going to be the San Jose goalie. What the fuck were you doing?
Oh yeah. Solid shout.
Got him.
Yeah, got him. I don't. It's a Daniel.
He was so far off his line.
He's
what was he
Brazilian,
doing?
One of those one-named Brazilians. Oh, sorry. Go on.
I was just gonna say he just gets scooped. We'll have to do favorite kits of the last 5-year review at some point.
Oh,
a kit review episode would be fun. We always, and I feel like we have like very different when it comes to kits. Every time I bring up one in the group chat, it's always, I feel like we're always split on opinion, which is pretty fun. So we could get really heated and just be arguing and be like, no, horizontal stripes are better than vertical stripes, and get real.
It's true.
It is true.
We should probably have that episode in person so we could physically fight.
That would be super fun. All right. Is there anything else before? I have some like news updates, but we're not an MLS podcast. Really, we're a Revs podcast.
We've talked enough about around the league, right?
Yeah.
Give us those Revs updates. What's new?
Revs
what's the latest in the world of the revolution?
Really not. There's only really one thing I wanted to talk about, which is super interesting, and it kind of ties into the thing you were talking about with the Bruce brain drain.
Right, with San Jose.
So right now, reports have come out over the past week. This is really the biggest Revs story. There really isn't another one. That Noel Buck has received multiple offers from other MLS teams. And apparently one of the biggest ones that is going in for him is San Jose. But the Revs have apparently put a pretty high valuation on Buck.
Bruce. Sly dog.
And
I'm really curious what that.
What did you say?
I am too. I think it's like $1 million and change. I don't know. I don't think there was an actual number out. I'd have to double check, but it's.
I think a pretty significant sum for a young player.
I think FotMob has him valued at like 2.3 or 2.8, something like that.
We would never get that for him though. That's
no,
within MLS. Well, the thing is now with this new the cash trade rule, it kind of changes things a little bit. I think, but I don't know, man. I'm of the opinion it's like a weird thing because it is if Porter doesn't have a vision with Buck. Okay, I guess like we have a valuable asset
run down to
on
the end
bench,
of his contract or anything, right?
But at the same time, we are the founding members of Clucks for Buck.
Right.
This is one of our faves, and we've seen.
We love Noel.
I think his ceiling is so ridiculously high, and I hate that he's not playing. Anyway, what are your guys' thoughts on that? And do you expect he'll be around by the summer?
No, I think the writing's been on the wall. Whether or not, I mean, the only scenario that saves him, I think, is if Coach Porter is canned in the very short term and a new coach comes in whose style and form of play matches Buck's skill set perfectly, and he sees something in training that elevates Buck where the last couple coaches, the interim and then Coach Porter have not seen. And so I think it's just exceedingly unlikely. I think that with the last few years of not having seen Buck play much at all, it's just the writing's been on the wall, and we have to kind of come to terms with the fact that he's probably gone.
Yeah, and he was out on loan. Chad, do you have any thoughts on Buck and sell, buy, keep? What should we do?
I love Buck so much, but we're not playing him. We kind of owe it to him to sell him. Sell! I think he's ultimately destined to go back to either Championship League or Prem.
Yeah,
perhaps.
I think he could. Yeah, he was it because for context, he was with Southampton. I think you're right though that
he could be around
the
championship level.
I could see him in the championship
on a mid-table.
Southampton.
I'm not saying he's getting picked up by Arsenal, but I'm saying like he could be in one of those teams that kind of bounces up and down.
Sure. Yeah.
He's 19. He's
got a lot of
great talent.
He's still a teen, which is crazy.
And dear listener, I just want to frame this in some of our disappointment. It comes from the fact that we also, prior to Buck, hugely stand Tajon Buchanan and sort of helped manifest his ascendance to a very good player now playing for Inter. So we have a sort of a similar fondness, and so it's disappointing to not have our young Binky, our safety blanket player, mistreated by Coach.
Fun update. I didn't even realize this till like a week ago, and it must have happened, and I just missed the headline. He's on loan now at Valencia, Tajon from Inter.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that he could get more minutes there
because
he was not getting minutes with Inter, and he's had injury concerns, and it's just it's like one of the best teams. It's the best team in Italy. We'll see if Valencia could be an interesting spot for him to. So anyway, Tajon, we love you. We miss you. Come on the pod, dude.
Friend of the pod.
If you're listening,
welcome
come
anytime.
on the pod. He's playing right now. I'm not watching, but I hopefully he hasn't scored on us.
Somebody did. It's 1-0.
Oh, it's 1-0 Canada?
I don't know.
Color me shocked.
We're losing again. Yeah, that's so awesome. I can't lose my mind. Yeah, about multiple. I don't have the emotional bandwidth to be mad about the U.S. and the Revs at the same time, so I kind of just have to fluctuate between the two of them.
It sounds like you need to up your bandwidth there, pal.
I do. Yeah, I need to get an upgraded
I'm seething
package
right now.
Okay, so yeah, that's about. We'll move on from Buck. We'll see what happens there.
Cluck.
I'll keep clucking for him, but if Porter's not going to play him, I have to be like, if you love something, let it go.
Yeah, he's got to spread his wings and fly to another coop.
Yeah, he's got to spread his wings and fly away. Cluck, 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 cluck. We'll still be clucking for Buck, no matter where he lands.
Absolutely. That's the dry powder promise.
There's two more big topics, and then we'll hop into the mailbag. So I want to get your thoughts on this. This is a huge one. USL has announced that in 2028 they will be doing Pro Rel. Promotion, relegation. So it's crazy. It's very exciting. We are dancing. If you had video, you'd see we're all kind of grooving out right now. I'm super excited this is a diet. This is also a Vermont Green podcast, and we're so excited to see them eventually get promoted into being a professional team. Okay. Anyway, do you guys have any? What was your initial reaction? I want to hear from both of you, and then we can kind of once I get your reaction, we can talk about how maybe it would affect MLS. Abe, let's start with you, then we'll hop over to Chad.
I'm wicked psyched. I mean, this is what we've been hoping for MLS for the longest time. I was pretty sure this would never happen in any American sports league because American businessmen are and they can't take a risk. And so, I mean, just the risk of how much a franchise can lose in advertising revenue and lose in valuation as a result of Pro Rel. I always thought that, American business would balk at that and would never accept it.
Yeah.
So I'm really impressed by these owners who voted for it. Power to them. I mean, that's, what it's all about. It adds so much to every league that it's in, which is all of them except ours. And it's just something that should be part of the game. And this is, I do think that a huge part of this is because USL is coming for MLS. They really want to be a competitor to MLS. And I think that's wonderful because that competition is going to drive both leagues and everybody involved to be as good as they can be, to invest heavily into the product. And that's that's only good for us as fans.
Yeah. Coming from, again, big supporter of Vermont Green. Go Green.
Up the green, folks.
They're a USL 2 team. They're great. Love them. Would love to see them get promoted. Super excited. You have a question here. Will it affect the MLS? I think initially, no. Just because MLS has locked themselves into that broadcasting contract with Apple.
Right.
I think Apple, and kind of what you touched on there, Abe, business interests will protect the broadcasting revenue and protect those teams. So I'm very intrigued to see how this plays out. Maybe in 10 years down the road, is there going to be a competing product at like the highest level?
This could be a first domino.
That's the question. Yeah, is it the first domino?
I like your domino analogy.
Because right now we're in a situation where they announce it, people are hyped, it could be a game changer. But like, is it a thing where, because this is kind of coinciding with their launching another, this isn't like they're turning the USL Championship into the highest tier, they're putting a tier above that called like USL League One or something. I got to double check. It's very confusing how they're doing the names because it's like USL New League, USL Championship, USL 1, USL 2. So I wonder if they're going to rename that. But anyway, what I'm saying is I'm kind of rambling at this point. To Abe's point, which I think I'm really interested, is you're like, it's cool that all these, like, very surprisingly, these business owners who own these teams across the board voted.
And I just want to very quickly amend my statement.
Go for it.
I'm pro small business. You know, we love small business owners, the mom and pops of the world. Great. But you have like hundreds of millions of dollars and you call yourself an owner and you're like the first guy to come out and accept the trophy when like men or women that you like say that you own win something and you come out and you get to hold the trophy first. Like, come on, dude. That's not very cool.
Snapping.
That's all I have to say. But please.
No, I agree. It's funny you say that. So I think because what's interesting about the USL is you're going to have a huge difference in like team valuations across all the different USL leagues. So I wonder if this is a situation where like some USL Championship club owners were like, really didn't want to do this, but they were just outvoted. Like, I wonder if this is like they're really united on this, or if there's like some internal disagreement. There's got to be, right?
There's got to be.
I'm sure there was.
I'm sure it wasn't unanimous. How much would it cost for us to buy a USL team?
That is an awesome question, because now that there's promotion relegation, we can
start from the bottom like Wrexham, dude.
And I'm inspired. I've been watching the US Open Cup. Yeah. Because we're kind of out of date, I'll do really quick hits for the USMNT.
That Panama game sucked.
Yeah, the game sucked. It was boring. I don't know. You guys give your reactions first. I'll give mine, and then we can just move on because it kind of sucked.
The only thing that made that game worth watching was the fact that I picked up Korean fried chicken from the place that opened up down the street from me.
Was it good?
Hell yeah.
It was delicious. The gochujang sauce, really good.
Like walking distance, you can get it all the time.
Oh yeah.
Let's go.
So that made the fact that the U.S. just couldn't finish a chance or actually even create that many chances in the second half that much better. So
yeah.
Pochettino
hates attacking midfielders. They're playing against Panama. They're going to be in a crazy low block. They're going to do their dark arts. They're going to use anti-soccer. Don't get me wrong. I respect it. I know they won the game, so clearly it was the right strat. But Pochettino has Diego Luna and Gio Reyna on the bench. Creative midfielders who are like built for breaking through a low block. And he doesn't even sub them in for a minute. And then in the post-game press conference is like, oh, I was saving them for extra time. What?
Don't play for extra time. What are you doing?
Yeah, what?
Yeah,
it's not a fitness thing.
I saw that goal. I mean, it's just, I felt the sinking feeling as that Panama player had the ball in the box that was going in. And it's just, 93rd minute, there was just no confidence.
Terrible positioning from Turner on that goal that we conceded to.
You can tell he's rusty as well, I think.
Because he's not playing.
Yeah.
But I'll leave on one note, two things. Just politically right now, Panama, if you feel good about beating the U.S., you deserve it because you've been getting some.
Good for you.
You've been getting some shit from us, not us specifically, the Dry Powder Boys, but
I've sent a couple letters demanding the return of the canal.
We're playing all these teams while at the same time having a president. Anyway, I don't have to beat that drum anymore.
Just a whole bunch of dumb nonsense. Yeah.
But then it led to a really wholesome moment. I was kind of confused at first. The Panama scores. It's stoppage time, and he runs over. I forget the player's name, and he gets right up. He's in Henry's face, and he's like screaming at him.
What a moment for Panama! And he celebrates with Thierry Henry.
And when I first saw it,
he starts like kissing his head.
Yeah, I realized pretty quickly that it was like, oh, it's because he idolizes him. But at first, I thought it was like he was mad at him, like he maybe didn't predict Panama was going to win.
Imagine a player scores and he jumps into the stands and it starts attacking one of the broadcasters for like a disrespect.
That would be.
But no, that was
sick.
that was a cute
That's a Darwin
moment.
move.
That moment ended up being cute as hell. He's like kissing Henri on the neck, on the head,
And
the
saying
entire
in
team
Spanish,
comes
"You're
up
my
on
idol."
the broadcast.
Yeah.
You're my
And
idol. Oh my god,
Henri's
that's
like,
a magic moment.
I think Henri said, "Luckily, I spoke Spanish, or I would have been really scared."
Yeah, right.
Yeah, which is really a funny ass quote. So,
I mean, he's a legend.
silver lining, yeah, he is a legend, and clearly the entire Panama national team agrees with you on that take, because they were all kissing him, rubbing his bald head, and it was great.
Listen, as a bald guy, I just want to say you got to get consent before you do that too.
That is
Don't just
important,
come up
yeah.
and rub heads.
No, don't steal a rub.
Because I saw multiple head rubs. I got to go check the replay on that, but there was like 2 or 3. Squeaky. Anywho, the last story.
Get that good head rub sound effect in there.
Yeah, I'll get a good squeaky clean sound effect. That'll really hit. One last story, which is a really funny one, and I think the perfect kind of topic for our podcast and how we kind of like to joke around about
The
things a lot.
twisted way that we see the world.
The sick and twisted way that we go about podcasting. It's the DraftKings. I sent you guys this in the group chat. DraftKings was offering free MLS season pass if you were to place a $5 or more bet on any. I guess it was anything soccer related.
So they're trying to pump up those analytics numbers.
Any thoughts on that, guys?
Trying to pump up those subscriber numbers to look good to Apple. That's a crazy promo. That was like $80.
It was, yeah. Only if you're subscribed to Apple already. It's
Yeah,
$80.
So that was the discount
$2 on
price.
top.
Yeah, $100 is the flat price.
First, when you sent me this story, I was enraged
Because you spent the $80.
because I spent the $80. And thinking about it now, I'm still a little bit ticked off. Like, what? $5? First of all, if you take advantage of this deal and you get MLS season pass because of it, more power to you. You should be watching. The
that's
games.
great.
That's awesome. But Apple, what the hell?
$5?
Here's my thing. And I could be wrong here because I don't know how these deals work. Part of me is also like, I've seen DraftKings in other situations like kind of do crazy giveaways just to get people in the front door as like a way of like,
no, that's 100%.
like we're gonna give you
and
like they might be taking a loss on this just to get more soccer fans addicted to gambling. Yeah,
100%. And it's to the benefit of DraftKings and to the league right now, because MLS gets the bonus of having more subscriber numbers on Season Pass, which is going to be important in their discussions with Apple because they want Apple to stay in this deal. And Apple has an out after 5 years where they could even continue pushing the promised revenue sharing pieces of the deal down the line, kicking that can down the road, and then opt out after 5 years and not have to be on the hook for that. And so the league has got to be desperate in a position where they need to show their worth to Apple. And so they get numbers out of this for season pass users. And then exactly what you said, DraftKings gets new gamblers. So $5, if it's suspiciously a low price like that, something else is being sold.
They
right
ran the
now
numbers.
it's the users who are being sold, who are being bought and sold. And it's the user's information, which is going to be used by MLS. And then it's the user's, psyche and just like all of the everything that goes into what's wrong with having the ability to gamble in our pockets at all times, which is like, and again, if you're a gambler, that's great.
We gamble.
We gamble on sports. I'm being pretty hypocritical.
Yeah.
I'm being hypocritical to say that this shouldn't exist at all. I don't think that, it's just these predatory tactics are ridiculous. And it's very important to be aware of how all this stuff is going on, how all this stuff is working on you, and it's like this propaganda that's going into making you a certain type of way that big business wants you to be, and make you act in a certain type of way that the casino wants you to act. And so it's just it's very bleak. I don't know. It's kind of a bleak.
Yeah,
You want my stone cold pick though?
What's your Stone Cold lock of the week?
And now our next segment is our betting locks of the week.
Yeah, my betting lines. Yeah, my betting lines are definitely just throw a garbage $5 bet out there and get the pass for free, or not for free, but
that is science. That's gambling science. Anyway, guys, we talked about this a lot. This is actually funny. We're about to transition. We're really excited into our first ad that we've ever had. We actually got a sponsor for the show. We don't really know who the sponsor is. They just sent us a USB stick and $100 in an envelope.
Today's episode is brought to you by Zinn. You've kept cool with their minty flavors and stayed zesty with citrus lip pillow. Now bring the boom with Zinn's newest lineup of cured meat-flavored nicotine pouches. Stuff your mouth, pepperoni, Black Forest ham, or Sorpresa-flavored Zinn pouches. Available both 3 milligram and 6 milligram.
We're getting ready to hop into the mailbag. We hope you liked our first ad. We're hoping that it's not anything, any sort of any moral gray areas in our ads that we pick. But like we say, we didn't screen this ad, so we hope it was appropriate. Especially,
it just said "trust us" on the envelope, and we did.
Yeah,
so.
we did.
I'm a trusting person.
Look, at the end, a crisp $100, not just a $100 bill, a crisp $100 bill. I will say.
Which we cut in thirds. We each hold a piece.
Yeah. So that we're always together. I mailed you guys your pieces.
I made mine into a little necklace.
I tried to spend mine at the chicken place, and they said no.
Yeah. For our very first question, we have a returning mailbag sender in Belinda from Iowa.
Belinda!
We love Belinda on the show. I can't believe, Belinda, that's 2 weeks in a row. So keep that hot streak going, because there could be a prize at the end. I'm not going to say anything specifically, but you might be in the running for something if you're submitting mail. All right,
so this envelope full of dry black powder.
Yeah. Fans, once our mailing address gets leaked, people should start sending us bags of actual gunpowder as like a bit. I don't know what.
Please don't do that.
Yeah, actually, I take that back. Don't do that. Chad's
don't dox us to send us gunpowder.
Actually, no dox. Please don't dox us. It's really important that I don't get doxed.
And that is not reverse psychology.
Yeah.
Wait, right. Everything I say is reverse psychology. Everything. Shit.
Oh my God, it's all reverse. The first question from Belinda from Iowa. All right, this is why I didn't want you to talk about other teams earlier, because Belinda actually asked about it. Her question is: do you guys only watch MLS, or do you watch and/or support any teams across the pond? Sometimes it feels like there's too much soccer to watch. Chad, I'll let you kick us off on this one.
Belinda, you're not wrong. There is too much soccer to watch, but that's not a bad thing. Mm-hmm. I do support another club across the pond.
Across the pond.
Yeah, and I just started this year, actually, thanks to our good friend Dr. Strawberry. I'm a Liverpool supporter.
Woo! Let's go.
They've been on a little bit of a cold streak lately, but
I think they're going to be okay.
I think they'll be fine.
They're probably fine.
I know it's really tough for you to be a Liverpool fan right now, but if you keep your head up, you'll make it through.
I'm so aggrieved.
Times.
Yeah,
what? I'm serious.
I'm being serious.
Repping conspiracies, all that good stuff. Again, too much soccer, not a bad thing. But if you find someone you like across the pond or in Europe, like them.
Yeah, and they play in the morning.
They never overlap with MLS, so you're good.
It's nice to have a European team or multiple European teams, because the schedules are pretty much opposite with MLS, so you get all of that. And there's no such thing as too much soccer. I think it's like Chad said, it's a beautiful thing. So I like a bunch of teams. I'm an Arsenal supporter. I'm a Gooner and an Arsenal supporter in the Prem. So I hate Liverpool, and I hate Chad as the result of that. But I will begrudgingly accept my Liverpool fan friends. It's not their fault.
You told me to.
I
may
have made a suggestion that sort of totally fucking backfired. And then they're immediately the best team in the world as soon as he's like,
okay, great.
I follow this team. I'm
an Arsenal fan in England, so
I hate being an Arsenal fan. How have we managed to bottle both the Premier League and the Champions League in the space of just 4 days? It's actually embarrassing.
Kind of a cursed season for them with the injury crisis, but it's also revealed the talents of the 18-year-old duo Ethan Nwaneri and Miles Lewis-Skelly. That's super fun.
They're very good. They're very good. The other
very,
MLS.
Very good.
The other MLS.
Still been Also, that's my team over in England also doesn't have a striker. None of my teams seem to have a striker, but I like a bunch of teams. I'm a big fan of the video game, the Football Manager series, where you
we love Football Manager.
Simulate, you coach teams and you simulate whole seasons and decades and things. And so I've put hundreds of hours into those over the decades. I've played since like Football Manager 10 or 11 probably, maybe even before that. And so I have a bunch of teams that I'm fond of from those experiences. A bunch in England: Blackburn Rovers, Nottingham Forest, Preston North End, Portland Timbers over in MLS, and Boca down in Argentina. So I like to follow a bunch of different teams, and I have some friends who I worked with in a kitchen for a number of years who were big Santos fans in Brazil.
Shout out Santos.
Try to follow them. Shout out Santos. So
they're good.
Yeah, but what about you, Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, as you guys know, and I think I kind of revealed it sort of in the last podcast, is I have a weird soccer journey of that. I grew up in Stuttgart, Germany. My dad was in the military, so I was there 5th grade through until I graduated high school. Then I came back here and have been here ever since. And now I'm in my 30s living in Worcester, Mass. But I grew up, around VfB Stuttgart. Obviously the soccer culture in Europe is just awesome. And I was always like kind of a fan there, but never like die hard. I actually ended up becoming a Revs fan because I wanted some way to like stay connected with my whole family's from New England. I'm living in Germany, so my way of staying connected was like, I'm going to follow the Revs. I'm going to watch their games super late at night because of the time zone difference. And then Stuttgart was a thing where when I came back to the States for college, I became like I ended up feeling like a diehard for both clubs because Stuttgart, rooting for them was a way for me to stay connected with where I grew up. So I really have 2 clubs. I know some people kind of thumb their nose at the idea of supporting multiple clubs. I think that's silly. If you support a bunch of clubs in the same league, that's maybe a little sus. But that's the thing. That's the beauty of soccer. There's so many leagues. Like, choose a different club for each league, man. So that was a long-winded way of me just being like, VfB Stuttgart, shout out. We're having an okay season right now after crashing out of Champions League. Qualified for Champions League, though, which was cool. We don't do that ever. So anyway, Revs are still my number 1 team. That's why I'm doing a Revs podcast and not a Stuttgart podcast.
Oh, and then I just also you might, Belinda, I'm not super familiar with Iowa's situation, but you might have a USL team nearby.
Look for local teams. You almost always find something at worst in your state. There are semi-pro and professional soccer teams across this country, and with the US Open Cup happening right now, which is one of the coolest bits of American soccer culture, is the US Open Cup. It's been around for over 100 years. It's the oldest soccer tournament in America, and it's just like every team can compete, which is why the Dry Powder Pod is going to put a team together to compete in next year's Open Cup. You heard it here first. Did you guys have anything else on that before we hop on to the next question? But thank you, Belinda. That's a great question.
There's a proposed Iowa team that is tentatively known as USL Pro Iowa. They've been selected as with an initial franchise agreement. So there may be a USL team coming to Iowa soon.
do not know anything about that project, but that sounds really, really cool. Wow. Yeah, support local teams, local soccer. It's fun to get out to a game. Yeah, it's not the highest level, but there's some really cool fan cultures that's been built. I mean, I got to shout out Vermont Green one more time. Vermont Green, this is the Vermont Green.
The Des Moines Menace.
Oh, yeah,
the Des Moines Menace in USL 2 are in the Open Cup.
Boom. There, and all those games are streamed on YouTube, Belinda. So maybe you have another team besides the. You should still stay on the Revs train. We love to have you, even though it's tough right now. But find a USL team.
Check out those Open Cup games on YouTube.
Yeah, stream them on YouTube. That's awesome. Our next question comes from Nate from Kokomo. Don't take it fast. Take it slow. Is Turner
Where I want to go.
Still the right choice for the USMNT keeper position? Ooh, that's a can of worms right there. Do you guys have any thoughts on that? Because that's a doozy of a question that I genuinely I am completely on the fence when it comes to the U.S. keeper right now. I still think I lean Turner, but I'm surprised Stefan didn't start this Canada game, honestly.
I mean, especially after Stefan was like Player of the Week in MLS.
He's been killing it in MLS because, the Colorado defense was giving up so many chances. But yeah, he's been looking good.
Man, it's difficult because I'm in kind of an opposite situation that I was in just a few years ago, that all 3 of us were in just a few years ago, where we were, basically campaigning for Stefan to be benched so that Turner could take over and he could play, and he eventually became the World Cup keeper, which is an incredible accomplishment.
Was so awesome.
But that was when he was starting games, when he was getting starts for us, when he was the backup at Arsenal, he was getting more game time than he is now as the third keeper.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I think especially for goalkeep, it's like it can't be a role player that you plug in. It has to be someone that's playing. It has to be, because if you lose a step or you're not getting your timing right, you're gonna let.
And Turner's lost a step for sure. Like, he's not as good as he was when he was playing consistently. Like, when he played amazing in the World Cup, he was great.
Save from Matt Turner!
And that was back when he was getting some more consistent minutes, I think, at the time. And now he's at Palace and is their backup keeper.
He's at Palace now. Is that a loan?
Yeah, it's a loan, I think, still from Forest, if I'm not mistaken. And so it's like no one. It just feels like he's got to leave the Prem. Honestly, I hate to say it, but go to like St. Pauli or something in the Bundesliga, dude. I don't know, like something like a lower tier Bundesliga team.
Hello, Bundesliga.
I think that would be perfect for him.
Bundesliga, La Liga, Serie A, and all better places to live than England.
Or come back to the Revs. You know, I'd take him. I do like Ivicic, though. Sorry, that was mean to Ivicic. I apologize to Ivicic, who's also a listener of this podcast.
He's a friend of the pod.
Friend of the pod.
Turner's an old friend of the pod. I'd take him back. But he should go live. He and his wife and their kids, I think it's 2 kids now, right?
Yeah.
Their beautiful family should go live in, like, Italy on the lake. Play for Como.
That would be sick. Go play. I think he needs to be starting. Like, no question. He needs to be
I want him to
starting.
be our keeper for the national team, but to do so, he needs to be starting every week.
We're running out of time. It's 2025. World Cup's next year. So
Crazy
we'll see. But, I mean, if you look at that last goal he conceded against Panama, his positioning was real bad.
I like these next questions.
Oh, yeah. So I'm going to move on to the next question, but thank you, Nate, for that question. That's a really tough one. I know we maybe didn't give the most concrete answer, but
it's hard. I can't go too hard against our boy Turner. He's just an old friend of the pod.
But we love you, Matt. Matt Turner, come on the pod. Come hang with the Dry Powder Boys. You are invited anytime onto the pod. All right, so the next 2 questions are Ethan from Waltham, Massachusetts. Very specific in his location. He actually sent in 2 questions, which is really cool. Thank you so much, Ethan, for sending in questions, and not just 1, but 2. He sent them in via email, which is great because the email hasn't gotten too active yet. I know I've been joking around a lot about it, but this one was actually sent via email, which was really great to see something in the Dry Powder inbox. So the first one, this is a great question as well. How do you think the Revs front office can capitalize on the World Cup coming to the U.S. and with a game being hosted at Gillette? Specifically, how can they use it to help grow the soccer following in New England and also grow the Revs fan base?
It is a great question.
Do you guys have any thoughts? I have a few thoughts if you want me to start.
Yeah, kick it off.
Yeah, so that is a really good question, and this is something I am not sure about. It's sort of almost like a chicken and the egg thing. You see the World Cup is coming to the United States, and I think the Crafts, their current thinking is, they're not like, oh, we need to build up all this stuff before the World Cup. Their thinking is, as long as we get the stadium in that soccer boom,
we bring the boom!
After the World Cup happens, so like 2027, 2028, this is my guess. I'm just speculating here. They think that that'll be the best time to rebrand the team, launch the soccer stadium, all that stuff. So honestly, I think the Revs front office now is actually trying to just wait until the World Cup actually happens. Not wait, but They see a vision where the stadium comes up right after the World Cup. Maybe that doesn't happen. And I think if they can do that successfully, get that Everett Stadium, time it so it's 1 or 2 years after the World Cup soccer boom, which I think there will be one. I think you could get a really dedicated fan base of people in the city who are going to want to attend games regularly. If you make it fun, you make it cool. If it's something that is like when I'm watching that Cincinnati game, I'm seeing their stadium, I'm seeing what things they have there. I'm like, if we could just do that in Boston with that World Cup hype, I think we could be talking about a completely different just team and franchise in a few years. If the Crafts get the timing right and the stadium actually happens. Guys, did you have any thoughts? I know I just rambled for a while on...
It comes down to timing. It comes down to, I'm really hopeful that Josh Kraft's political ambitions, he's running for mayor in this upcoming election. I'm hoping that if he loses, that there's no hard feelings that would mess with public-private partnerships and business dealings going forward.
I think there could be something there with that? Not to
I
cut
don't know.
you off, but
like I know that he's not really involved with the soccer side or the sports side of things necessarily, but
it's
you
the
don't
craft
want any
brand.
hard feelings there.
Praise be on their name, but the crafts.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
We love the crafts, but we don't want any funny business.
No funny business. Yeah, so we'll have to see. It's unfortunately all we can really do at this point is speculate because nothing's like coming in 2028. Here's your stadium. Like all we have is sort of like the sickos like us who are like following every news story and every tweet and every rumor and are like, "Is we getting a stadium?" Been doing that for like 10 years. Chad, did you have any thoughts on just like the World Cup and the Revs and how they can capitalize on it?
I mean, you kind of summed up my thoughts too. It's coming. It would come down to timing. Like it'd be perfect if they at halftime for whatever game is hosted there, bring out a little presentation, be like,
"You guys love the game, etc., etc. Guess what? We're bringing a new stadium in."
That would be great. Reveal it at the World Cup of like the future of soccer in New England.
That'd be awesome.
Now, will they do that? Who knows?
I like the fantasy.
We should hire you.
Yeah,
you should. That'd be great.
Go check
do
out
PR for them.
Yeah, because that's a banger idea.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
And you also had the International Waters team idea, and I think that's
I'm still thinking about that to this day.
You're batting 1,000 on ideas.
Yeah, the International Waters team thing. As I was watching the U.S. Open Cup, I'm like, I really wish there was an International Waters Club competing here.
This is taking place on a giant cruise ship.
Kraft does have billions of dollars.
Why make trillions when we could make billions?
He could bankroll this idea.
Yep.
If he wanted to.
He definitely has a yacht that could be converted.
The Crafts have money,
sure.
I've heard. Rumor has it they have some money. So, anyway, thank you, Ethan, for that question. That's a good one. We'll have to see. All we can do is hope. We're living on a prayer here as Revs fans that something cool, something will give us something fun. We just want to have fun.
Just give us a fun
And a stadium would be pretty fun. And last question, this is specifically for Chad, from Ethan. The question says, specifically for Chad, what is the origin of the Chad persona? I really like his vibe. Wow.
Thanks, Ethan.
Someone's got a crush.
I like your vibe, too.
Yeah.
Me and my podcast partner saw you from across the bar, and we really liked your vibe.
Liked your vibe. We want to bring you on the pod.
Yeah. You want to come back and record?
Yeah. We're doing a bonus episode.
Should we tell this story on here? This is so random.
You can tell it, and then I can make it a joke to like bleep it out if I need to.
Perfect.
I don't remember what the exact story is.
It's not too dirty. It's
not dirty. But.
So Ethan, back in the day, I was not a soccer player, but I was an ultimate frisbee player in college. I have since kind of retired from that because of so many concussions. But it came about at a frisbee tournament. I got separated from my entire team one night. Part of frisbee culture is that you kind of get together for day one, and then you go into a day two. So the night in between, you kind of party with
Porter. Take notes.
Everybody else. So I became separated from my team, and I ended up camping out in a greenhouse with some of the host team's players who, because they found me randomly during the night and I was less than sober, they just decided to call. They're like, "Oh, what's your name?" And another one just immediately said, "You're going to be Chad tonight." And I was like, "Great. Okay, I'm Chad
That
tonight."
is the best way to get.
Now you've been Chad for a lot more than one night.
Yeah.
Yeah, going on about, what is it, 12 years, I think?
That's stuck. Because I forgot. I've heard the story before.
I don't know if I've ever heard that story.
As your best friend, much closer with you than Abe is. He's sort of just like an acquaintance.
You've heard it. I haven't heard it.
I've heard it many times. Yeah.
I'm an ancillary friend. I'm called on to like do podcasts sometimes, but not really in the core.
You're a podcast friend, but not a friend. Yeah,
right. It's more of a parasocial relationship.
It's a co-host relationship kind of thing. But you're cool.
The second half of the story.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut back in.
No, do it.
I left, or I woke up early in the morning. I left the greenhouse. I went back and I actually found my team all like passed out in some dorm. They asked where I was. I told them. Nobody believed me. It was such a ridiculous story. Until those same people walked into that same dorm and were like, "Oh my God, Chad, you're alive!"
You're alive. We thought we had lost you, and not in a house fire this time. Oh my God, that's so
timing.
Funny.
Yeah, the timing couldn't have been better in front of the rest of my team, who were just all
your disbelieving team.
Yeah, it's been a thing ever since. So
legendary.
That's awesome. Dang, Ethan, I'm glad you asked that because that is I'm absolutely keeping that story in this edit of the pod because that's awesome. All right, thank you, Ethan, for your questions. That was awesome. I'm going to speed it up a little bit because we're a little bit more over time than I expected because we're having so much fun in the mailbag. Just three guys hanging out, doing mailbag stuff, looking at mail, reading mail, reacting to mail.
Reading mail.
I gotta say the mailbag is the most fun I've had so far in the pod. So doing a full episode on it, my dopamine is spiking right now. The Footy Ghoul 66 asks, not sure where the Footy Ghoul is from, but I like that name. Besides the New England Revolution, are there any other?
Marsh just got kicked off the pitch.
Marsh? Wait, all right, we can pause for a second. Did Marsh get a red?
He's like walking. Yeah, I think he got a red. He's like the camera's just showing him walking into the locker room now, just walking down the.
I chose not to watch. The most insane shit's gonna happen in the game. Like
there have been a couple penalty shots that he's not been happy with that we've gotten away with.
Is it still 1-0 Canada?
It's 1-1 now.
Okay.
I bet the ref was like, "Hey, what's that noise? Oh, there's a drone above us."
Yo! And Jesse Marsh is like, it cuts to him. He's got a full.
He's operating his little spy.
It's not even. Yeah, he's like. Yeah. He's like, no, look, you can see from the drone view, it's clearly a penalty. Mailbag. No, that was perfect. And now I'm like curious who scored for the U.S. Ajiman, the Aji God. All right, I do love that. Shout out Charlotte. So anyway, the Footy Ghoul 66. Besides the New England Revolution, are there any other Open Cup teams you'll be rooting for this year? So I'll start because I just wanted to highlight my favorite moment that I was really excited to talk about. In the U.S. Open Cup, a side, I don't know if anyone's ever heard of them, El Farolito. I hope I'm saying that right. They actually made it into the next round. They beat Real Monarch, which is like the RSL MLS Next Pro team, 3-1 in Utah. And this is their nickname is the Burrito Boys. Their team name is named after they're semi-pro, named after a chain of restaurants.
Okay.
And in the stands, there was one fan who traveled 1,472 miles round trip from San Francisco to Utah to watch El Farolito make it into the second round of the Cup. He was by himself in the stands with a giant flag that had BB written on it for Burrito Boys. And it was just one of the coolest things I ever.
I'm on the pod.
I love that. Yes, if you are the fan and you hear us, please come on the pod.
You are so invited.
One thing I love about like U.S. soccer
incredible.
culture is stories like that, where it's like because it's such a huge country and there's like some semi-pro teams that have really cool fan cultures where it's like one fan journey to just stuff like that just like gets me pumped up. So seeing this, I was super stoked, and they won 3-1 in extra time, so 2 goals in extra time to win it.
It's awesome. What a great story.
They were great, and they had a Cinderella like kind of run last year too. They beat Portland Timbers 2 in Portland. And then I don't remember the other team they beat, but then eventually lost to the Oakland Roots, who are a cool actual pro team. Do you guys have any Open Cup thoughts, or just I know there's a lot of games went on, so no. All right, so I'll leave it on that. And to answer your question, Footy Ghoul, I don't really have like an Open Cup team besides if Vermont Green's in the competition, we're going to be excited. They're not in it this year, unfortunately. So I would say Vermont Green would be my other team, but it's really fun to just, when the games are on, just browse through YouTube, look at who's playing. There's just some really funny team names, which are great. Portland Hearts of Pine won their first game, which is very exciting. I think like 4-1, which is good for them. So there's just some really cool soccer culture up here in New England to check out. All right, we'll move on from that because we're going a little bit over time. But
can we pause for 1 second?
Yeah. No, do your thing.
I got this.
So Liam from Vermont has 3 questions for us, so we'll kind of hit these pretty fast. The first one is, do you think ownership is constraining the team's ability to be good? That's an interesting one. Abe, do you have any thoughts on that?
I don't know. I mean, it's always a possibility, right? And we've seen that the Crafts, I think, were maybe less willing to invest a lot of resources into the team maybe a decade ago.
Yeah.
We had pretty good teams with Nguyen and everything, but I think that in the modern era, with in the Bruce era onwards, they have been willing to invest what it takes.
Yeah.
It's just maybe the talent scouting isn't quite where it needs to be, or, specific choices go wrong. And sometimes you just get the wrong guy, in whatever, on the pitch or off. So, and that can be difficult. And sometimes it just takes time for things to come together and click too.
Yeah.
It's hard to judge things on a very short time horizon. You got to look at these things in the long term. And so I think potentially yes, because I think that they're always going to look at American football as their number one. The Patriots are always going to be their number one priority.
For sure.
And the Revs are always going to be a little bit of an afterthought. But I think that in recent years they've shown a little bit more willingness to invest.
I mean, I think it's almost because in the past they were kind of known for really not spending on the Revs. If you actually look at the numbers, they still get ridiculed online for the Revs don't spend anything, and it's just not true. I think they're in the upper 50% for spending in the league. They're not at the very top or anything, but they spend more than you'd expect. Sometimes that's on not so great contracts, but that's a whole other question. But so they are clearly willing to spend money, a lot more than other teams.
I wanted to bring up, I saw on Sportico.com, the business of sport, they did a nice little interactive display deal about franchise valuation. So this is reporting by someone named Kurt Fadenhausen, and it has all of the teams and their valuations from top to bottom, their average attendances, their revenues for the last few years, things like this.
No, you should send that
so
to me.
LA is at the top, and Miami is number 2, and then LA Galaxy number 3. Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
The Revs are 5th from the bottom. So we are, we're in the, I think, 26th spot, and then after us is Real Salt Lake.
So this is valuation, just for clarification.
This is value. This is total value.
Okay, not total spend, value total value of the team. Okay, interesting.
Right, and it has us as 5th lowest, and then the only ones behind us are Real Salt Lake, Colorado Rapids, Vancouver Whitecaps, and Charlotte.
Oh, poor. Wait, Charlotte's last?
Charlotte at the very bottom. Yep.
Weird. I'd be curious to see their methodology.
No, actually,
there.
no. I'm so sorry. Let me retake that.
No,
this is
you're good.
not Charlotte. This is... The Revs are actually the 5th worst valuation, and the only ones behind us are Real Salt Lake, Colorado Rapids, Vancouver Whitecaps, and Montreal.
Montreal. That's more like it. Okay, when you said Charlotte, I was like, I think it's got to be Montreal near the bottom.
The Revolution
Spends a fair amount. It's not, the outlook on the club is not so high, especially when it's valued as low as it is. But I honestly don't think ownership is really actively constraining, more just not caring that much. They're kind of all right, you can spend a fair amount, have fun, and then move on to the Patriots. The next question from Liam, just because I want to move through these a little faster, is he says this one's more philosophical. I'm excited for that. I like soccer, but I've struggled to get into MLS. Do you think there's something about the league that presents barriers to new and casual fans? Do you think it could be more approachable? That's a great question. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I do think there are barriers of entry here. Big time. One of the biggest one, which I think the league is doing a better job addressing this year, is game time.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Tyler, but I think last year or just previously, most of the games are on Friday and Saturday nights. Or was it Friday night?
No, it was pretty much just Saturday night.
Just
and
Saturday
it was
nights, yeah.
Everything all went at the same time, it seemed like.
Which, yeah, if you're anybody, if you're someone who likes to do things with your free time or be social and maybe go out, you're not staying in and watching soccer most of the time. So I think spacing the games out, there's now, MLS is doing their Sunday night game, which is great. Love it.
We love
I've
it.
been catching
Shout out
those
Sunday Night Soccer.
consistently. Yeah. That's awesome. I wish they would space them out just a little bit more.
Same.
But
same.
Yeah, I think game access is one. They are now, it's exclusively on Apple TV, and Apple could make it more approachable if they made more games free, but we'll see if that actually happens.
It's only $5 if you become a gambling addict.
Yeah.
That's true. Just spend the $5 for DraftKings and get all the access all season.
No, and I really like this question from Liam, because I've thought about this one before, and I have a way too many thoughts on it. I could go for way too long, but I'll try to keep it concise here. I think one thing, you're from Vermont, so I assume the two teams you've looked into supporting are either New England Revolution or probably Montreal. Montreal is a tough one to get into because they're one of the lowest spenders in the league, and they generally struggle quite a bit. They've had some decent teams. When Nancy was there, that was awesome, but they couldn't afford to keep him. So you have that, if you're like, that's your one option. And then your other option is the Revs, which culturally, not the most interesting team. I think if you don't have the history with them, it can be kind of hard as a new fan. I hate to say this, please root for the Revs. I think if I were to go in, if I had never heard of MLS and I was a big soccer fan, and my first exposure to it was just the Revs, I don't know if I would feel great about the league as a whole, necessarily. I'm like, this football stadium, no one's in the crowd, the atmosphere is not that good.
Just to cut in for a second, I think that's exactly what that's what Miami is supposed to be this year for everybody. Right. And last year, it's like, oh, they got the GOAT, they got Lionel Messi. We have this brand new product. Look at this, people. And I don't think it's a shock that a lot of their games have been kind of the featured.
Yeah. I mean,
that's free, but that's definitely featured games.
They were hoping to get and we don't have to go too far into Messi because there's so much you could say about it, but they wanted their thought was, all we have to do is bring in Messi, and then magically all these casual fans are going to subscribe to MLS Season Pass, and then they're going to fall in love with the league. It's like, no, dude. A lot of them are going to come in and only watch Messi, and then when Messi's gone, they're going to never watch MLS again. Just go read the comment section of any of Messi's goals. It's not like, wow, MLS is kind of fun. It's like, I love Messi, but MLS sucks. That's
yeah, he's playing against a bunch of farmers and milkmen.
Yeah, it's always look at any post that goes viral of Messi highlights in MLS. Go read the comments.
They treat him like he's Wilt Chamberlain.
It's crazy. And so, not to get too far away from your actual question, I think there are barriers, especially like what Chad said with the streaming thing of it's not just like, oh, you can go to a bar and catch it on TV. That doesn't really happen unless you have a specific bar that is yeah,
that's a bummer.
Yeah, that part kind of sucks. There are ways that bars can subscribe to packages to get it, but I've multiple times I've had the experience of going into a bar and being like, could you play the MLS game? It was funny. I was at a TGI Fridays that had sports everywhere in the Miami airport. This was when Miami was playing New England. I was traveling at the time, and I asked the guy at the bar, I was like, could you put on the Miami game? He's like, what? What's it on? And I was like, MLS Season Pass. And he's like, we don't have that.
We don't have Apple TV.
I know, and then I felt like an idiot. Yeah, he was like, he looked at me like, I was like, what? It's like I went up and was asking for a Netflix show.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, could you stream this?
Yeah, you want us to put Euphoria on Max?
Yeah.
Pretty sure that's pretty inappropriate for the
I don't think we can do that, bud.
It's their high schoolers.
There are children here.
I'm calling the police.
So, yeah, I would say, Liam, for that one, you like what you like. It can be, and I also say the skill level as well is a little bit lower. It's gotten so much better, but it's like, yeah, you're going to get more exciting moments sometimes from some of the bigger leagues.
It's not even the exciting moments, because you get plenty of exciting moments, but it's less satisfying when you get an exciting moment that's born out of a mistake versus an exciting moment that comes out of pure skill on skill. Because the big issue is just definitely the skill level, but that's also something where you're kind of getting in on the ground floor, and it's a stated aim that we're improving the league, and we've seen that happen. We've seen the collective skill level in the league rise
every year. Yeah.
So every year. So,
and parity, I would say, is one of the biggest selling points. Sorry, I cut you off, but
parity
anyone could win any year. I think MLS needs to use that as a selling point more often, because I find that part awesome. That it's not like, oh, well, Man City's going to win again or whatever. Well, not happening this year, but a lot of times that was the case.
Having a playoff is pretty interesting.
The playoffs are awesome. MLS playoffs, that is the best part of the league, is the fact that we have the playoffs. Sorry, Abe, go on. I cut you off and just
on the skill level, it is sometimes tough to see some of the loose touches taken in this league, but you look at every loose touch, and still, it's paradoxically, it's kind of a beautiful thing. It's the development of American soccer. It's the development of the beautiful game in our country, and it's just nice to be able to be part of that.
And just a good example for right now, before we move on to the next question, March Madness is happening right now, and it's super exciting. It's super fun. It's super marketed. The basketball is way lower level than the NBA.
It's that same sort of it's that same sort of phenomenon where, yes, the skill level is lower, but that makes it better in some sort of, way that shouldn't make sense, but does when you actually watch the product.
Yeah, it's as long as it's fun and you have storylines and it's competitive, and it has a certain level of skill. Like, you don't just want to watch nobodies, but MLS has great moments.
It's not garbage.
Yeah, like the defending is pretty bad, but because it's more attack heavy, you get a lot of crazy golazos that are just so awesome in MLS. Like maybe probably more so than in other leagues, and we love crazy goals.
There's a lot of solid, like, creative attacking midfielders and strikers in this league that can do some really special stuff with their feet.
Shout out Orlando this week for having a crazy team Golazzo. So
that was I posted that on our Instagram story for the pod because I was so jealous. I was like, oh my god,
that goal was nuts.
That was such a sick. That's a world class goal. That's not like, well, MLS defending. Like, no, that was just sick. Anyway, Liam, watch what you like. Try everything out. Support your local team. Go to a Vermont Green game.
I'll see you at a Vermont Green game,
yeah,
I'm sure.
We should. I will hopefully run into each other at a Vermont Green game because I'll be going to a lot of those if I can when I'm up visiting my family in Vermont. Okay. I'm actually... All right, so Liam did submit 3 questions. I'm going to skip his last question because the next one kind of asked something very similar. So I'm just going to kind of combine them into one. So Liam...
Snub.
We're not snubbing you, Liam.
Big snub.
I just wanted
you
to
snub.
push it.
Ask a better question.
Yeah, you've been snubbed.
You got snubbed. Only 2 of your questions.
So this question comes from Languishing on the Vine. That's a Reddit user who sent it to me via a Reddit message. I always forget you can message people on Reddit. And he says... or they say, I don't know the gender identity of this person. You guys seem pro soccer-specific stadium. I'm really excited about the Everett location. Definitely would need to invest heavily in infrastructure, some sort of public transport, bike paths, walking paths, and green spaces.
We're nodding.
We are all nodding in agreement because all those are, you're saying awesome things. Maybe a monorail...
Well, sir, there's nothing on earth like a genuine, bona fide, electrified 6-car monorail.
Loop connecting Sullivan Station, Assembly Row, Encore, and the new stadium. Monorail. There's going to be so many Simpsons monorail sound effects. I'm just thinking about them, putting them in right now.
But what about us lazy slobs?
Yeah. And all right, so this just seemed to be the first part of his question, sort of expressing excitement and hoping that it's done right. That we're this
please,
everything.
continue.
And the next part, though, all right. This is he states this a little more lightly than Bobby Boy 69 did. So we're gonna Languishing on the Vine we're gonna answer this nicely. Another thing is Carlos Heel. What do you think is up with him? He's been a great player, but he seems to have lost a step. He doesn't seem to track back and defend. What are your thoughts on him? I'll start off and then you guys tell me what you think. I think you're right that he's not at his absolute peak. That is, sure. Like, this is not... 2021 Carlos Heel was a monster. He was, MVP of the league, deserved, in my opinion. He was just... Every game was like 8 to 10 chances. It was like the numbers he was putting up were nuts. And I think because we've seen him just completely take over games and perform at a crazy high level for MLS, we hold the bar really high. Like, I get that he's maybe not hitting as many passes accurately as he has at his absolute best. But if you go run his numbers over the past year, he's like creating more chances than like anybody else in the league still, even when the eye test is like maybe he's not at his best. So I don't know. What do you guys think about like what's Carlos's expiration date? Is he losing his step? I feel like he's lost like half a step, but he's still incredible. Is sort of my take.
Yeah, he's lost a little bit, but he's getting older.
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
And to the point of like tracking back and defending. It would be nice if he does that, and he will do that occasionally. But
I think he does it sometimes, and I don't want him to do it all the time because we want him in the attack.
No.
Yeah.
I want him in the attack, and I don't... Here's the other thing. He is a smaller, older guy. I've seen him get steamrolled by defenders, before, and I don't want him to necessarily put himself at that much risk.
But also when it's Carles and Urruti specifically... And they're the spine, not the spine of the team, but they're, the head of the team.
The central
at the front.
part, yeah.
That really weakens the spine of the team because neither of those guys are going to press at all. And so you're essentially leaving that space open and you're putting a lot more stress on the jobs of the CM/DMs in Yule and Yusuf or whoever's occupying those, Polster, whomever, is taking those spaces.
But tracking back is not the same as pressing for me.
Sure.
And I think he still does press, and he still, he'll see him
I think he's got it.
Does he press effectively?
That's a different question. He puts in the pressing effort.
To press effectively, you need to be organized as a unit, and I don't think
are
there.
Fair.
So
No, they're not.
Yeah, and it's very unclear how much. We don't have to go into Porter tactics talk, but it's unclear how much he wants the Revs
Porter
to press.
pressing.
It seems like they also don't know how much they're supposed to press. I don't know. I'm just watching a team like Philly and the way they've been coached to press, like tactically, in a really effective way, smothering at certain parts of the game when it's like ideal for creating a chance on the break. I was like, oh man, I'm jealous of that. Like that is great. Like just why it wasn't the best game, but just man, I think they're one of the best pressing teams, and they're not pressing the whole time. It's just like good, effective pressing. Anyway, so yeah, I would say the whole team is underperforming right now. Carlos probably included, but him underperforming is still great. Yeah, this is more Porter's fault.
That is a big thing where if everybody else was looking great and if Porter's system was looking fantastic, but Carlos wasn't cooking, that could be maybe a cause for concern. But I think that for where we're at right now, he's just emblematic of where we're at as a team. And
yeah,
he's the captain. It's on him to dig us out of that in part. And so that's what we want to see, obviously. But yeah, no, MVP Carles isn't walking through that door, right? So we have the version of him that we have, and that's slightly less effective. But gosh, I do hope he can be part of digging us out of this slump for sure.
Yeah, we said this last week, but it is he has to. Unfortunately, the way we're set up, it's so reliant on him killing it that when he isn't killing it, he's like, oh, he's only playing very good, very well. Then it's like, oh, we suck. Because Carlos is playing excellent, not amazing, so that's not good enough. Like it's unfortunate that we're set up. And I was even looking at, I should have pulled up these numbers, but just like the way he creates all of our chances. Like we're not making any chances.
He's like our only chance creator.
But he's our only chance creator. It's nuts. And yeah, he's not creating, but Porter also just doesn't. Anyway. So our take is he's still the complete key to this team, and we're hoping.
Still fan of the pod. We still love him.
Yeah, we hope he comes on the pod. I don't. So I will half agree with you. Languishing on the vine, he's lost half a step, not a full step. And I'll leave it at that. And is still easily our best player. All right. I actually didn't realize we had one more question that came in kind of sneakily, and then Chad submitted some questions. I like that. I actually feel like we should do that more often, where we have the Dry Powder boys ask each other questions, so we can hop into the mailbag together. That's pretty fun. So this next one came with instructions. Just weird, so I'll try my best. This is Trevor from Quebec City. He requested, and I'm sorry if this offends anybody, but he wants me to read it in a French accent. So I'm going to do my best. I used to speak a little bit of French, so I can maybe do a French accent. So here goes nothing. This is Trevor's request that I do this. This is not me making fun of French Canadians.
Bonjour. First of all, well, 2 years. The Great Heel has decided to, how you say, thrown in the towel because the dreadful Porter Ball has set his will to leave. Of those on the current roster, who do you decide to rebuild the team around, if anyone at all? Ooh la la!
Thank you, Trevor.
Yeah, thank you for your question, Trevor. I'm sorry if my accent wasn't good enough. That was my best attempt. Yeah, and ooh la la. I have I actually have an answer, and then you guys can hop in. I think that is a great question. So the question being, to translate it into English for everybody, is if Carlos Heel was, decided, I'm out. I saw a rumor the other day, I think it was fake, that it was like Carlos Heel wants to join a team in Japan. I was like, I don't think that's real, but that's a funny rumor.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, if he left. No, it would be, Japan's cool. Him leaving would not be.
Cool league. No, yeah, him leaving.
Yeah, so I would say on the current team, it would be really rough to be like, oh, we're going to build around this person now. I would pivot to, and this would be very anti-Porter, I would go all in on youth in the academy. I think the Revs have a really underrated academy, and like that pipeline coming from the youth setup they have at the organization. If we had like Malcolm Fry, Noel Buck, Peyton Miller, this new Ugandan kid who I looked up how to say his last name because I want to say it right, Alan Oyeroth, I think. If I'm saying it wrong, if someone knows, please correct me. Jack Benayotu, Demario McIntosh. Like, we have all these players who are super promising young guys. Some are more developed than others. Like Malcolm Fry is still a big question mark, but I've liked what I've seen from Malcolm Fry personally. But then we just make a team of no players over the age of 24 except for Andrew Farrell, and then it's just all youth guys. That's my idea for post heel. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm on board. Andrew Farrell can they can all be blood boys for Andrew Farrell. He can take their life essence and stay young forever. like Palpatine.
Yeah, some of the youth academy will be blood boys, but it's for the greater good. It's so that we can get dubs. Okay,
I think.
Yeah. Oh, shoot.
I was just gonna say. I mean, kind of to echo you, but I'm picking one specific player, and we already kind of highlighted him earlier. I'm picking Noel Buck, man.
Yeah. No. Unironically, Noel Buck could be. I mean, building around a youth player is kind of crazy, but.
Has he ever played in that attacking mid role though? He was always further back.
He has a few times. Yeah, he normally plays deeper, like kind of deep mid or box to box, like in the double pivot a lot of the time.
He's played right wing before.
He has been put in at wing. He got put in at like left back. It looked like against Philly, I think, and I was like, okay.
I don't know. I kind of think that whoever the heel replacement is, he's not on the team right now. So maybe he is a youth guy. Maybe he is, just
Neymar. We bring him in.
Well,
yeah,
hey,
he's gonna love the turf and the crowds.
He would love it,
and just the weather.
No, but look at how Cincinnati got Evander this year. You never know when there's an aggrieved star available.
Yeah,
on another MLS team who maybe the timing just lines up. So
cash trade rule
I don't know.
I mean, that was Campania was kind of that a little bit.
It was very similar.
He wasn't like he didn't hate Miami or anything, but it was like I want to be a starter, and I'm not going to be a starter on Messi and friends.
So those opportunities are available in the off season. It's just finding the right one and making it happen.
Absolutely. So yeah, thank you, Trevor. Merci beaucoup, Trevor, for your question. We really appreciate it.
Un, deux, trois.
Wow, we've gone a while. This is time flies when you're having fun in the mailbag with your bros. Seriously. But we're gonna finish up right now with the last two questions from Chad, who submitted, and I love submissions, sort of meta submissions from the actual Dry Powder Boys themselves. Pretty cool. So Chad asks, he's from right now. Ooh, when am I? Not where am I?
You've known me for years.
For me, I think this is the end of a beautiful friendship.
But for me, it's just the beginning.
Just thinking about road games and traveling in the future, a lot of these guys are probably going to be bummed about leaving home. Do you think there are any Revs who look forward to hitting the road and leaving their family behind? Woo! I know one guy, and we're facing him this weekend. For him, his time at the Red Bull New York is just one long vacation away from his evil
the old
kids.
Ball and chain.
Yeah, his really messed up. His kids want to spend time with him. Pretty selfish of them, in my opinion.
No time. Daddy's got to lock in.
He said, "Yeah, for the New York Red Bulls. Yeah,
for the Red Bulls. I got to be a star in the Red Bulls. So I got to abandon my family."
The best part is no disrespect. Well, a little bit of disrespect.
I need this opportunity with the New York Red Bulls, with the New York energy drink team.
I need to go play for them. It's been my lifelong dream.
It's my lifelong goal to ditch my family for the energy drink team.
And then it's like Emil's wife is on social media being like, we had no heads up. He just disappeared.
He just got blindsided.
And his wife's probably
That's
like, all
incredible.
right, well, maybe he got a deal from for an insane amount of money from one of the best teams in the world. Maybe that would make this make sense. And she's like, wait,
he pops up in New York.
In New Jersey? Yeah, that's where he fled to New Jersey from Austria.
I need you to go to New Jersey and leave everything behind.
Leave everything behind and everyone.
You're gonna change your identity. It'd be so funny if he came over under a different name and was just playing with a mustache and
he has the Groucho glasses on every game.
It's Bamil Borsberg or something. I don't.
His family has no idea.
But yeah, it's the Borsberg kits are selling like hotcakes.
Number 2 after Mangione.
Right after Mangione. All right, on that note, guys, we recorded a lot longer than usual today because we were having so much fun. Let us know what you think of the mailbag.
Episode.
This is sort of, we're learning and making things up as we go with you guys. So if you're listening,
learning and growing
feedback.
Worse.
Be like
we're becoming more evil.
We're becoming more. Let us know. Just be like, hey, I didn't like that ad you put in, or I didn't like this part of the, don't be too mean because we are awesome, but
Or, I loved this thing. I loved Tyler's.
Yeah, only send nice things. What the fuck are you talking about? Don't ask for criticism.
Nice things. Not even constructive
I'm very
criticism.
sensitive. I will crumble immediately.
I'll cry.
I will cry. All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening. You're amazing.
Thanks, everybody.
We'll see you next week with a review of the Revs versus Red Bull game. Beep, boop, 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 beep, boop, boop, beep, boop, 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 boop. Breaking news. Bye.